So this is going to be a tutorial showing how to set up a Killing Floor server in a VPS, and we're going to be using Steam CMD to do it. This is a follow-up to my video I did showing how to set up a VPS and configure it to host dedicated game servers in it. So if you haven't seen that yet, you should check that out. But if you already have a VPS, then you're good to go, and you can just start doing this. We're going to be running it entirely through Steam, downloading what we need to through Steam CMD. So in order to do this, I'll be referencing the Steam CMD instructions on their developer Valve software page, just to show that like this is where I'm getting the information from, and if you do need this information yourself at some point, this is where you can get it. So the first thing we're going to do is naturally we're going to log into the our VPS. So you get your IP for your VPS, go to your PuTTY window, and you're going to log in. There we go. Now we're logged in. So the first thing we need to do now that we're logged in is we're going to need to install the Steam CMD. And right here it'll tell you for downloading it if you have Ubuntu, which is the distro that I recommended when I showed how to set up the VPS in the first place. You should have. You can just copy this right here, the install CMD, and then paste it right in here. Sudo is just like user admin privileges, and then these, the repository multiverse, DPKG, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Those are like dependencies for Steam CMD, and then at the end it's gonna have sudo apt install Steam CMD. So you're gonna hit enter, and it's gonna ask for your password, and you're gonna hit enter to start it up. And now it's gonna run through its thing. It's gonna install the dependencies, and it's gonna install Steam CMD. And when that's over, we'll move on to the next step. Alright, cool. So now we have Steam CMD installed. So the next thing we're going to need to do is launch and run it. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see that it says right here, if we downloaded it using the package from the repositories, you can just type in Steam CMD and it'll run. Let's see if that's true. It's going to download an update because it's our first time launching it. And boom, now it's running. You can tell it's running because it says Steam right down there. You can tell that it's currently loaded up and you're in it. Before we download the dedicated server for Killing Floor, though, we're going to need a directory to put it in. So I would recommend going into WinSCP here and jumping into your VPS and then putting it wherever you want to put it. I'll put it right here in my home and then user folder. I'll make a directory here and I'll just call it KF1. Just like that. Doesn't matter what you call it, just as long as you know how to get to yourself and find it. So now we're going to get to the point where we actually are going to download the dedicated server. But before we do that, you are going to need to set the directory you want to download to before you log into Steam CMD. If you go down here to the downloading an app section, it will tell you to use force install directory and then path. So we'll do just that. We're going to do force underscore install underscore dir / home / Gibbons / KF1, because that's where we want to install. We want to install our files to our Killing Floor folder directory that we just made. So hit enter. Now it's set in. So now we're going to log in to Steam CMD, and you're going to be logging in just by typing in login and then your username. It's going to ask you for your password now, so you're going to put in your password. Let's see if I can remember my Steam password. And I did remember it, but now I gotta use my two-factor authentication. I'm gonna say okay. It's gonna log you in now. Okay, so now we are currently logged in to our Steam user through Steam CMD, and we can start downloading things to the directory that we told it to download things to. So when you are downloading things, you're going to use the command app_update to download the app you want to download. However, every app has a identifier, which is going to be this number here, the app ID. Here's the list of all the dedicated servers you can get through Steam CMD for all these different games. We want a Killing Floor server. So we see right here, Killing Floor dedicated server Linux, and the app ID is 215360. So we're going to go back in here and we're going to use app update 215360, and then we're going to type in validate. Hit enter, and it will start downloading your dedicated server or app or whatever it is that you told it to. And now we can see it says success, the app has been fully installed. So let's check and see if it has been fully installed. Let's go back to our WinSCP. We'll reload this. There's a Steam apps folder here, but more importantly, if we go into our KF1 folder, we see that we have all of these files, which are our Killing Floor dedicated server files. So now what we need to do is we need to launch our server. At the start when I said, oh, Killing Floor comes with an SH file that launches it, I lied. I forgot. I was thinking of Counter-Strike server. The Killing Floor wiki will give you the command you need to launch it, but it doesn't come with an SH file. So if you click on Killing Floor dedicated server here, and you go down to their page, which shows you how to set up the Killing Floor server, you'll see that it will tell you that the launch command is this. So if you want to launch your server, you have to navigate to your systems folder for the Killing Floor that you just installed, and you're going to have to type in this. But you're probably not going to type this in every time. So we'll make ourselves a SH file to launch our server from. So open up your putty again. You can just type in exit and exit the Steam CMD, but I completely closed the window and I'll just relog in. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to navigate yourself to your Killing Floor folder. So if I do ls, I can see all the stuff I can go to, and we have kf1. So I'll do cd for change directory, kf1, ls, and there's our system folder right there. So I'm going to go cd system. So now I'm in the systems folder. So the thing about Killing Floor is that it won't give you a config file until you've started the server. If for some reason the dedicated server doesn't come with a config file initially, so we're gonna have to launch our server first. So we'll type in nano to make ourselves our launch server file. You're gonna do pound /bin /bash. I put 2 spaces there now, and then we're gonna go back here and see this long thing, UCC bin server, KF Biotics Lab, blah blah blah, max 6 players, back secured. We're gonna go back over here and we're just gonna copy that in. Then we're gonna hit yes for save, and we're gonna call this something like launch.sh. So now we need to make our launch.sh file an executable. So we'll type in sudo chmod, I think u plus x, and then launch.sh. Because we use sudo, it'll ask for our password. And now if we type in ls to see all the files in here, we should be able to find our launch.sh, and it should be executable. There it is, launch.sh, and it's executable. So now let's use it. .-launch.sh. And if everything was done correctly, it'll start booting up your server. So now we can check out our server and see if it actually launched. And to test it out, you're going to type in open and then put your IP in. And since it says KF Biotics Lab, it looks like our server is loading up. And congratulations, we now have a Killing Floor server running. However, you'll notice it's only normal difficulty and it's set to short game. So our server is not configured yet. Luckily, by launching our server, we have made it give us a config file. What am I saying? Config file. It should be called killingfloor.ini. Here it is, right here, killingfloor.ini. So this config file, you can hit Control-C here to stop your server now. So now you might think, oh, easy enough. When I want to edit my settings, I will just edit them in the config file. It's unfortunately not quite that simple. So if you open up your config file here, you'll see, I would recommend opening this up in a better text editor than the one that comes with WinSCP. You'll see if you look for things like game difficulty, it says nothing can be found. But that makes no sense, right? Why would nothing be able to be found? If you go here, it says in order to change the game difficulty, you would just type in game difficulty. Why can I not find game difficulty? Let's try again. Maybe I just didn't type it in right. It's not in this fucking config. You have an incomplete fucking config. So we're going to have to go into the web admin, because the way the web admin works is you can adjust all your settings in there. And what it does is then it edits the config in your VPS, and then it adds the lines you need. So from there, you can just use the web admin forever if you want, but when it finally gives you a complete config, you can do that. So in order to get the web admin, first thing we're going to need is an admin password and an admin name. So I'll make my admin name Gibbons, and I will make my admin... Oh my god, I skipped the password. I'll make the admin password here. Gibbons. Fuck it. And now we need to turn the web admin on, though. So type in web here, and then wait until you can find web server, web server, and you're going to find be enabled here. You're going to change that to say true. Control S. And if you were editing this in a text editor that's better than the one that comes with WinSCP, you're going to drag it back in to overwrite your old config, and you're going to launch your Killing Floor server again. Now it'll be launched with this new config that has your web admin completely enabled. How do you access the web admin? You have to put in your server's IP and then port 8075 up in the search bar. So we'll get our IP and then 8075. And it'll log you in. It logged me in earlier because this is my second time recording this because I fucked up the first take. But it's going to give you something that says, what is the admin name and password? You're going to put in your admin name and password there that you set inside your config. So now that you're here inside your web admin, you can adjust all your settings. Go to current or go to defaults. You're going to go to defaults, and that'll give you all the maps in the rotation. You can swap these maps in, hit save. You can go to the server, and here you'll find max players, blah, blah, blah. You can change your server name to test server or something like that. You can give yourself a game password, like test. You have map voting. You can enable map voting. You can change how many times like maps are allowed to be played back to back, all that kinds of stuff. Maps, game, chat, game, and here you can change the difficulty and the game length. Hit accept and then hit restart level. It'll switch your maps and it'll update your settings, and we can check to make sure that it did that by going back into our Killing Floor server. Open. It's going to take us to Biotics Lab. And as we can see, we have a Hell on Earth map at long game type, which is what we want. But we also turned on map voting, remember. Oh, I can't kill myself yet? Do I gotta wait for the game to start? I gotta wait for the game to start. So, oh no, I've died. The game is over. Since we enabled map voting, we now should be able to choose the next map within the server, among all the maps that we enabled. Whenever the game's ready to, let me do it. And bam, here we go. Now we have every map in the game, right here. Don't do KF intro. KF intro is not a real map. That's just a big black room with the tripwire logo on the back of it. Not a real map. See. And congratulations, you now have a Killing Floor server set up. It's a bit janky because it doesn't come with a launch.sh, so you have to make your own if you don't want to type in that long command every time. And it's also a little bit janky in the sense that it doesn't give you a completed killingfloor.ini until you activate and use your web admin for some fucking reason. Like if I go to edit with Notepad now and I type in game diff to find game difficulty. Oh, look, there it is, the game difficulty. It's set to 7, which is Hell on Earth. Wild, right? And if you want to change the enemy skins, type in none. You'll find special event type ET none, and then you can type in, I think the events are like ET Christmas, ET Summer, or ET Winter. I don't remember what they are. You can find them online. But now all of this stuff is stuff that just wasn't in the config when the game launched for some reason. You had to go into the web admin and launch your server first. Well, launch the server first to get your config, and it's an incomplete config, and then launch your server with the web admin, and now it gives you the complete config. I don't know why it does that, but now you have a complete config. You now know how to set up a Killing Floor server. You have access to the web admin, which lets you do whatever you want with it. You have the ability to edit the config however you want, and you have an SH file that you can launch your server whenever you want. One more thing I'll bring up is that if you're new to hosting servers, you probably don't realize that when you close this window, it'll close your server down. So if you want this to be running even when you close your PuTTY window, you're going to have to run a screen. And to do that, you're going to type in screen -S and then name your screen. I'll call mine KF1. And now we're inside of our screen. We're going to do /launch.sh. It's going to launch our server the way it normally does. But what's great about running a screen is that if I close this and I go to log into my server, our server will still be running even though our SSH window is closed. So that's all there is to running a KF server. It's a little bit janky to set up, but once you do have it set up and you have your config ready, you can fiddle about with it. And after that point, it's really just like editing values in the config, and it's quite self-explanatory. And when you want to close the screen entirely, you can either just reboot your virtual machine, and that'll close all the screens, or there's a command that's something like screen-something-x name of the screen kill. I don't remember what the command is off the top of my head. I'll put it on the video, but you can also look it up online. Just type in how to kill a screen in Ubuntu, and you'll find plenty of places that will show you how to do it. And that's it. That's how you run a Killing Floor server. Hopefully this was helpful. And that's how you run a Killing Floor server. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about it, let me know.